Okay, so today we're doing 2.2, which is translations. Okay, so our objective today is I can perform, identify, and recognize translations. And instead of the word recognize, I'm actually going to have you use describe. Because recognize and identify are kind of the same thing. So before we can talk about what a translation is, we need to talk about a transformation. So a transformation changes a figure into another figure. Okay, it transforms the figure. Okay. A rigid transformation is a special type of transformation that preserves size and shape. Okay, and preserves just means keeps it. Okay, so keeps. So when you think about like preserving something, it means you keep it. Okay, so rigid transformations include translations, rotations, and reflections. Okay, an image is the new figure after a transformation. Okay, so you have moved the figure somehow, you've manipulated it, you've changed it, and the new figure is called the image. Okay, and then a translation is when a figure slides but does not turn or reflect / flip. You might hear me use the word flip. Okay. So a characteristics of a translation, or how you know if it's a translation, is every point in the figure moves the same distance in the same direction. And you're going to get to see an example of that in a minute. Okay, same distance in the same direction. Okay, so example number 1, tell whether the blue figure is a translation of the red figure. Okay, so the lighter color is the blue. Okay, so this is the blue and this is the red. Okay, so on all of these, the blue is the lighter color. Okay, so could I have gotten, so they're saying going from red to blue, is it a translation? Okay, well, did I just literally just slide this? Yeah. So this is yes. Okay, it has just slid. Slided is not a word. Slid. Okay. B, okay, if you look, going from here to here, I had to rotate. Okay, so no, this is a rotation. Okay, so we don't want rotations, just translations. Okay, so you try number 1. You're going to do all 3 of those. Make sure you explain why you said yes or no. Okay, this key idea is showing a translation. Okay, so going from here to here. Okay, so to translate a figure, A units horizontally and B units vertically. So horizontally, remember, is this way. Vertically is up and down. Okay, in a coordinate plane, add A to the x coordinates. And remember, that's because x is my horizontal axis. So it makes sense that I'm only going to move those, that I'm going to add A, my horizontal movement, to my x coordinate, and B to the y coordinates, because B is vertical. Okay, so that's my vertical axis. Okay, so I'm going to add B to the y coordinate of my vertices. Okay, so positive values of A and B represent translations up and right. Okay, so if I have a positive, that's moving up and right. Okay, negative values of A and B represent translations left and down. Okay. So here's some algebra. Here's an algebraic way to represent it. Okay. So if I have a movement up or down A, okay, that's x plus A, and if it would be down, it would be x minus A. Okay. And then for the y values, I would be adding or subtracting B if it's positive or negative. Okay, so this would be up A units, this would be right A units. Okay. So when we have a translation, the original figure and its image are congruent. Okay, now, if you see these little like hash marks, this says B prime. Okay, we say that as B prime, and that's the image. Okay, so this is the image. Okay, and the reason that I can tell is because of that prime. That number, that little hash mark right there, okay? So I went from B to B prime, A to A prime, C to C prime, okay? So this says translate the red triangle, okay? 3 units right and 3 units down. What are the coordinates of the image? So this was my red one, this was my blue one, okay? So I went 3 units right, 3 units down, 3 right, 3 down, 3 right, 3 down, okay? So it wants me to say what the new coordinates are. Okay, so my A went to A prime, and A prime is at 1, -2. Okay, so my B went from B to B prime, and B prime is at 5, 2. And C went to C prime, and that went to 4, -1. Okay. Okay, but what if, like on the U-try, oops, I'm sorry, you couldn't see that. What if, like on the U-try, you don't have a graph, okay? So what you can do is you say, okay, my first A was at -2, 1, okay? And I want to translate that 3 units right and 3 units down. So 3 right is going to be x plus 3, and 3 down is going to be y minus 3. Okay, because remember, up and left and right is my x, up and down is my y. Okay, and then right is positive, down is negative. Okay, so I'm going to add 3 to my x value, so -2 plus 3 is 1, and 1 minus 3 gives me -2. Is that the point that I ended up at? Yep. Okay, so B started at 2, 5. Okay, so I'm going to add 3 to my x, so 2 plus 3 is 5. And then I'm going to do 5 minus 3, and I get 2. Okay, and that's what I said my B prime was at. And then I had C, which started at 1, 2. And I'm going to add 3 to my x coordinate, which becomes 4, and subtract 3 from 2. 2 minus 3 is -1. Okay? So those would be the coordinates of my image. Okay, so these are my image coordinates. Okay, go ahead and do the U-try. Okay, so example number 3 says the vertices of a square are 1, -2, 3, -2, 3, -4, and 1, -4. Draw the figure and its image after its translation, 4 units left and 6 units up. Okay, so I'm going to start at 1, -2. That's A. B is at 3, -2. C is at 3, -4. And D is at 1, -4. Okay, so when I draw... Okay, so now that I have figure A, B, C, D, I can translate 4 units left and 6 units up. So 4 units left, 6 units up. So that's my A prime. Okay, now if it's a pretty small figure, I can see that B is just going to be 2 units to the right of A because I haven't translated it or I haven't rotated it or reflected it. So I'm literally taking this figure and moving it up that way. Okay, so I could count every time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there's B prime. Or I can say I know C prime is going to be 2 below B prime simply because C is 2 units below B. And then D prime is going to be right there. Okay. Okay, so I do expect you to label your figure with the primes and with the original. Okay, so here's my original figure. Okay, here's my image. And you need to have those primes, okay, so that I know that you know which one is the image. You don't have to label original figure and image. I do want to know that you know that those primes mean image. Okay? Okay, go ahead and do the U try.